UFC Fight Pass presents Extra Rounds, live from the Fight Pass studios in Southern California. Here's your host, TJ DeSantis. Extra Rounds.
It is Extra Rounds here on UFC Fight Pass. Hey, everybody, I'm TJ DeSantis. Thanks for joining us. We are live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and everywhere, essentially. By the way, we also call UFC Fight Pass home, and you can save 50% off your first month over at Fight Pass right now by using the code Extra Rounds. So go do that. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend. We call him Ray Longo. I guess everyone calls you Ray Longo, unless they got like a bad name for you, Ray. Like, do you have a nickname?
Well, you know the old saying, you can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
I mean,
I don't know.
Of course
I don't know if you heard that one before.
I've never been late to a dinner, Ray Longo. Let me tell you that.
That's right. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Fresh back from Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, things couldn't be better.
That's good.
Trip was a little crazy, though, man. I'm still jet lagged.
How
I
can
got
you
back
not?
late Monday night and probably slept 14 hours. And I think I did sleep 14 hours in a row, and I was still banged up. So we'll see. Another couple of days, I'll be back to normal.
I mean, I get messed up going from the West Coast to the East Coast, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's nothing. This was 15 hours. This was crazy. This one was a tough one.
Well, I mean, obviously it was a good business trip. Your guy gets it done, Aljamain Sterling, and we got some vintage Ray Longo screaming no mercy for TJ Dillashaw, who had that dislocated shoulder. Like,
well, that was actually your buddy Ally Aquinta. I think I'm getting credit for that.
All right. You know, you Long Islanders, you all sound the same, really.
100%. You know what it is? I was so happy after the first round. I might have left the building. Like I was blown away. So I'm not. It wasn't one of those cornering things. I was just like, holy shit. Right. And like obviously we didn't know he had a bad arm going in.
Of course.
And then Al said his shoulder's out, and then I think we just went berserk. But I treated it as like the guy nothing was wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. But after that first round, I was like, wow, that was just a beat down and a half. It was crazy.
Yeah, let's talk about your guy, Aljo, because I kind of feel bad, Ray. And I feel bad because you look at the way he captured the title off the disqualification. Yeah. He beats Peter Yan, and now this was his second title defense, technically. But, people are talking more about the shoulder of TJ Dillashaw than the absolutely outstanding performance of Aljamain Sterling. Why can your guy not catch a break?
Man, look, it's nothing in his control. And, it's the way you react to it, right? I mean, he couldn't control TJ's shoulder before the fight. He couldn't control getting kneed in the head, but he could control the way he reacts to it. And I think he does a great job with that. And look, he did what he had to do. We didn't know the arm was bad, but for a guy with one arm, he got the beating he deserved, because I think he did deserve it. And that's what I'll give him credit for. He could have probably tapped out in the first round at some time,
right?
But he didn't. He took it like a man, and he took it, and he took a lot of it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I mean, I'm glad the fight didn't go 5 rounds. You know what I mean? So he just like again, he did what he was supposed to do. He went in there and dominated.
Part of me wonders, if Dillashaw did the right thing, because, it's one of those things where he's not at 100%. You got to be at 100% if you're going to try to take out the champion. You really do. At least you should be. But at the same time, maybe he did it to himself, but I understand why Dillashaw didn't want to wait any longer. He'd already been, away from the sport for as long as he had. You don't always get opportunities like this. I mean, I remember a guy like Carl Parisian, who was supposed to fight Matt Hughes, tore his hamstring, and then never got back to a title opportunity.
Right.
Maybe the same could have been said for Dillashaw had he not gone and taken this fight. What were your thoughts on TJ apologizing to the crowd and basically apologizing to the other athletes in the UFC, saying he held up the division?
I view this, he just can't do anything right. Like, it's always after the fact.
Right.
Yeah, he owned up to steroids after he got caught.
Right.
Then he apologizes to the fans already after he made the decision to go in there compromised. So I don't know. He's a guy that really needs to surround himself with some really quality people, because I just think the decision-making process on this kid now it's getting worse and worse as time goes on, and the more desperate he becomes, or he is a competitive guy, obviously you could see that, but I think it's almost to his own harm at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be a neurosurgeon, but I'm not. I get he was the champion,
right?
And I don't care how long he has to wait, or if he never, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Like what kind of injury would it have taken for him to make the right decision? Was he that arrogant that he thought he could beat Aljo with one hand? Did his team think he could win? Did they have a game plan? I'd love to know what that was. Like, was it just a cash grab? What was it? Like when his arm was popping out, were they putting it back in? Was he continuing training? Was it a big deal? I mean, Weidman had a bucket tear in his meniscus. We'd have to stop every so often and pop his knee in. And then it happened in the Bonfeld fight. He took the fight. It came out, and you could see him smashing his leg to try to get that thing to pop back in. So I get people taking it, but you must have thought you were going to win that fight, and that's where it's the disconnect is for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume he thought he was going to win the fight. Otherwise, why go out there, right?
Well, then it's just a total cash grab.
Yeah, I mean,
TJ, I tell you, it was so weird. I think he's the type of guy that probably it's hard to get a point across to. There was one part of me that almost said, I think his fucking corner's sending him out for the second round just to see him get his ass beat at this point. Like, there's no shot. Like, I don't like Aljo's good.
Yeah,
people could say what they want about him. That guy's fucking good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what leads you to believe that you could go in there with one hand and beat a guy like that. I don't know.
Right.
So that's what I'd like to hear from. Like, what was your thought process going in?
I mean, I don't think you can go into any UFC fight compromised, honestly.
Right.
I think you're going to win, let alone going in against the champion.
And technically, TJ, everybody kind of goes in with little injuries.
Sure,
you're
but
never going to get away.
Not like
but
that.
This is right. This is a championship fight. And I'll say this. If he was the champion, maybe he, would have looked at it differently. Maybe he wouldn't have taken the fight, or he would have postponed it. So maybe you're right with you're not going to get another chance, but you already were the champion. It's not like, it's your first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Only he knows what was going on. But man, I mean, as a coach, I don't know. That would have had me crazy knowing that guy's arm is popping out, or it's going to pop out, and you got to put it back in. And I don't know, unless they had a game plan during the training camp where this is the way it's going down. But
well, the thing that was interesting to me is he said in his post-fight interview that the injury originally occurred in April, and then it popped out probably 20 times approximately. Right. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, not only are you going to be compromised for the fight, but who knows what you're doing, internally to that shoulder. Like, can it even be repaired to the way it could have been had he gone and, had surgery when it first came out?
100%. Great point. I mean, look, like, again, he just doesn't look like he's making the right decisions at this point in his career. Just, I don't know. I mean, it's just one thing after another. And again, are you going to believe a guy like this with anything at this point? He definitely lost his credibility. But again, he's always apologizing after the fact. Like, what is that? That's not apologizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dana goes, he took it like a man. He took what like a man? He didn't confess to it. He got caught.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. So you stab somebody, you're hiding for a month, they catch you, and then you apologize.
Right. Oh, it's all
good.
Yeah.
Well,
at least he apologized. No.
Yeah, right.
I'm with you. Let's talk about your guy though, Aljo, because I thought he did everything he needed to do inside the octagon and then on the mic afterwards as well. You got Henry Cejudo talking a little bit. Sean O'Malley is in the mix. We'll talk about O'Malley here in a moment. Cheeto Vera is still there. Love him or hate him, Aljamain Sterling is fire inside the octagon and fire on the microphone. I think he just owns this spot so well, and I talked about that with you, after the second Peter Yan fight, because I thought that Aljamain just really built his confidence in cementing his status as a champion, and I think that's still evident here when he gets on the microphone.
Yeah, look, I said before this fight, I don't know if I said it to you, but I know I did on other podcasts, that Yan win, the second one, was just a big weight off his shoulders, because of what he went through to get to that point. And I think this guy is just brewing with confidence beyond belief at this point, and that's going to be a hard guy to beat. You know what I mean? He's starting to adopt the role of just the champion. He got mentally tortured after that disqualification. Like you say, there's always something surrounding it. So these are things he's going to have to navigate through. But I think he's the guy to do it. He's very introspective, and he's got a good head on his shoulders for all of this stuff. So, again, it's nothing in his control. Whatever he could do, he's doing, and I think that's all you could ask for the guy, and that's it. So, like, again, if it would have went 5 rounds, would have been a different story, but it was 10 minutes of an onslaught of, and I'm telling you, Aljo backed off a little bit. I don't think he wanted to hurt him like as bad as he could have.
There was a couple times I saw him look at the referee, Mark Goddard, really, am I still doing this? And
then it brings up another good point. Why put Mark Goddard in jeopardy? He tells Goddard in the dressing room that my shoulder's been. I don't even know from an athletic commission what Goddard's supposed to do at that point.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know. That's something I'd like to find out, because why you're putting that guy in a very weird position now.
Sure.
Now, did he tell him that so that he has an easy out when Goddard sees the thing go out? But, like, again, the powers to be had that guy taken a lot of extra damage that he shouldn't have taken. So I hope somebody learned a lesson somewhere.
It's one of those questions where it's like, you're right. Like, does he tell Mark Goddard because he doesn't want the fight to be stopped? Or does he tell Goddard because, look, I might be defenseless here. I need you to step in. And why not disclose this in your pre-fight medicals? Why do you just tell the referee in the back? I don't quite understand that. But.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things I think that only he could answer. And, I don't know, but I just, like, again, it's always, the last 4 or 5 years for this guy, I think are just a total disaster. It's like that one thing, there's a fine line between, doing the wrong thing or doing the right thing, but sometimes you get in a bad groove and you do the wrong thing, and instead of coming back and making up for it, just snowballs. And I don't know, I just got a bad feeling that he's just either not listening to a lot of people, or it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I mean, there was a weird thought process that went into the events unfolding the way that they did, and I guess only T.J. Dillashaw in his camp can really answer that. So let's talk more about the 135-pound division, though. Peter Yan and Sean O'Malley, they put a hell of a fight on. A lot of people thought that Peter Yan did enough to win the fight. I was one of those people. I scored the fight 29-28 for Peter Yan, but it is Sean O'Malley that gets his hand raised and maybe has minted himself the #1 contender. It's interesting that a guy can go from outside the top 10 to potentially #1 when it comes to being a contender, but that's potentially what he did. Looking at the scores, though, across the MMA journalist landscape, there were 25 media scores turned in at MMAdecisions.com. Out of 25 media scores, Ray, can you guess how many had the fight for Sean O'Malley?
Nobody.
One.
Yeah, one. But I tell you, I'm watching the fight in the back. Aljo's warming up, so I can't say anything. But I thought, what's his name? Yan had definitely won the fight. Right? Then I rewatched it. I got to tell you, that was a close fight.
It's very close.
I could easily give 1 and 3 to O'Malley. It's a weird, round one is, I don't know how you're going to score it. I think O'Malley won that round, and that's the problem. I think he gets 1 and 2. I don't think 20. It's definitely not a robbery. I think either way it would have been all right. But
when it comes to this fight's storyline and narrative, to me, it tells me how close and how much MMA rounds mean, because there are only 3. You know what I mean? If it's a 12-round boxing match, that's completely different. But when you have 3 rounds in an evenly contested fight, and that's one thing I will say, I felt that Peter Yan, won the game per se. I thought he wins via the scorecards. But if we're out on the playground, I mean, Sean O'Malley wins that fight. I thought Sean O'Malley hurt Peter Yan a lot more than Yan hurt O'Malley.
And they're scoring damage.
Right.
That's what they're scoring it on. So you can't complain about that decision. That's the first thing. And I like the way O'Malley handled himself after the fight. He didn't say, I definitely won the fight. He's, look, I got to look at it. I went to places I'd never been. I think he's an honest type of guy. So I really appreciated that and admire that in his character,
I mean, obviously, you're not campaigning out there for what is next, but let's just put on that hypothetical matchmaker hat. Do you feel that Sean O'Malley has done enough and grown enough to deserve a title fight?
Look, I don't know if I feel like he deserves it, but he was promised a title shot, the winner of that fight. So
Right.
based on that, you can't renege on your word.
Yeah.
You have to give him the shot, and he'll find out sooner or later. But it looks like it's a little early, but I'd rather get him now. So bring him on.
There you go. I mean, spoken like a true coach. I'm curious. The only way that I think O'Malley wouldn't be next is if Henry Cejudo is coming out of retirement and wants to fight Aljo, and that's the desire of the UFC. Then you have that Cheeto Vera situation where it's like, okay, what does Cheeto do? Because if I'm Cheeto Vera,
Exactly.
I don't want to fight Sean O'Malley again. I already beat the man. Why would I risk my number one contendership to fight Sean O'Malley again? But, I wouldn't be opposed to those guys fighting again from a fan standpoint.
I like to see that fight in a 5-round main event.
I like it.
I think that's a great fight to make.
What do you think? I mean, I don't want to put words in Aljamain Sterling's mouth, but I mean, can you give me some insight on what Aljo would like next?
I think he'll take whoever, but didn't he call out Cejudo? Is that what happened?
I mean, he kind of called out everybody. I mean, he
Oh, I didn't hear I swear to God, I didn't hear a thing. I think
that's what I liked about Aljo. Like, he had everybody in his target.
Did he?
I mean, he said something about Cheeto Vera and Dorito Man or something like that, and Henry Cejudo was on his mind, and maybe O'Malley.
Funny.
I'm like, that's what I like about Aljamain Sterling. He's doing all the right things. Again, it might rub people the wrong way, but you want to make people feel as a combat sports athlete. And Aljo does that.
Yeah. That's funny. That's actually hysterical. It's funny. I didn't hear. I'm telling you, I left the building. I was so happy for him that I'm telling you, I think I zoned completely out.
I mean, it was a job well done, so you might as well. Not to mention, you're halfway across the world, so maybe you want to go to bed.
Yeah, I think that's a part of the key too. That's a rough trip. I'm still jet lagged right now.
When did you go, and when did you come back?
I went Monday to Monday.
Okay.
I left Monday night at 10:30. Got back Monday night at like 8. And it was a rough one.
Yeah, we're burying the lead a little bit. Let's talk about it. We got a new champion atop the UFC's lightweight division. Islam Makhachev is the winner in the fight against Charles Oliveira. What a moment for him. I thought Oliveira, on paper was going to be able to get it done. I had no idea that Makhachev had the ability in his hands that he does. The way that he hit and hurt Oliveira, I mean, the submission is what ends the fight, but honestly, it was the right hand, I think, that sort of stole the will of Charles Oliveira, and you see Khabib in the octagon afterwards, and, I hate to say this because I think Joe Rogan said it when Lyoto Machida won the UFC's light heavyweight championship. It said, "Welcome to the Machida era," and I feel like we might be, ushered into the Makhachev era. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but man, this kid looks unstoppable.
Oh, it certainly does, and he could do it all. I don't think he has the grappling of Khabib, although it's close, but he definitely has better stand up, I think, and so I think he could do it all. His submissions look good. He's got a couple in the last couple of fights, and everybody was saying he's not going to be able to do this to Oliveira or that to Oliveira, and he submits him. So, major problem.
Yeah.
Major problem.
No, 100%. Did you watch the fight? Were you able to catch it?
I did catch it, yeah. I caught it in the backstage, though, but I saw enough of it. I know what happened, and, I saw it. I mean, he definitely stand-up looked pretty good, too, so.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and we said that, TJ, too. If he knocks him down like he's been knocked down in every fight, I believe this guy was going to finish the fight. Like, a lot of guys didn't even want to go down to the floor with him.
Right.
You knew that wasn't going to be the case. You knew the guy's physically must be strong as an ox based on just what he's doing to people down there. And I think he proved it again. So, yeah, he's a handful.
Let's talk a little bit about Charles Oliveira because, he gets submitted, which not a lot of people exactly thought would happen, but I thought it was more from the product of the stand-up, and then ultimately the squeeze was coming, so Charles got out of there. This is a guy that's been in the UFC for so long and has gone through, so many ups and downs that it's still amazing to me that he captured a lightweight championship. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he, earns his way back to another title fight, but your thoughts on Du Bronx moving forward, and what does he need to do to sort of answer those questions on whether or not he still has it?
Look, I think it's going to be one of these things. He's going to beat 95% of the people, right? He could still do that, but he's just never going to beat this guy. So I don't know.
You think
I
it's
don't
one
know
of
what
those style matchups where he just probably doesn't beat Makhachev?
where it's going to be right, but he's still going to beat for the first 5 guys that are in that division. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, he's just going to be that's what happens with it's like Holloway. He could beat everybody but Volkanovski.
Right.
This guy's going to do the same thing, and that's the crazy part of this sport is that happens, and it happens in a lot of divisions.
You mentioned the name Volkanovski. It looks like that might be next. It's all but signed, essentially. They bring him in the octagon afterwards. They have the little stare down between Makhachev and Volkanovski. It is crazy to see Alexander stand next to some of these lightweights because while he's not tall, he's like doubly as wide. And, You know, what do you think about Volkanovski? I mean, fighting at lightweight and going to the top of the heap right away. Do you think that, you know, Alex is a guy that gets multiple wins at 155?
Yeah, I think he is, man. I think he's going to be a problem. I think that short stature, he knows how to maneuver it in the fight, which is great. And I think it's going to give people more problems than they think. I don't think it's that much of a disadvantage against even Islam.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious what that fight looks like. I mean, Alexander's done everything he needs to do at 45. Yeah. You know, I'm just curious though if he moves up and he does even let's say he comes short against Makhachev, does he stick around at 55? Does he try?
No, he'll go back to 40. Yeah, without a doubt. This is a big fight, and it's a pretty cool fight, right? You get to step up and fight for the lightweight title. So I think he loses, he goes right back down.
Yeah, what do you think about some of the other contenders that are there, though, as far as, you know, maybe like Beneil Dariush is the guy that comes top of mind. You know, I think he's number 4 now in the rankings. I mean, is it a travesty that he's not getting the next title fight? Should he wait and take on the winner of Volkanovski and Makhachev? What do you do if you're Beneil Dariush?
I think it's a tragedy or travesty, what you said.
Both of those words work.
Yeah, he's not going to wait around, though. He's going to fight. You know, he's cut from a different cloth, and I think he's just at peace with fighting, whether it's for the championship or not. But he 100% deserves to be fighting for that championship. He's earned it, especially that last win was a beautiful performance. He deserves a shot.
I think he was like a 2.5 to 3 to 1 underdog, something like that. So
I mean, they could give him Oliveira next, and if he wins, he gets a title shot.
See, I love that. I really do love that.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah. And
that's a great fight.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And, you know, Oliveira might do what he needs to do to justify getting another, you know, fight. And who knows? Yeah. Who knows what happens with Makhachev and Volkov?
Without a doubt. There's something intriguing about that fight to me, for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the fans are fired up for it as well. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
But Beneil Dariush, man, like if I was his manager, I would just be like, no, you can't fight again. You gotta wait. But like,
he's not that guy.
It is
he's not that guy. Yeah, he's not that guy.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Good dude.
Coming up this weekend, we got a fight with Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen. Any thoughts on that fight, Ray?
I'm gonna go with Calvin Kattar. I really love his boxing, and I think even though he looks like he's slowing down lately a little bit, I still think he gets the job done. I think he's just going to be too much for Arnold Allen.
Yeah, I mean, Allen's been doing, you know, fine in the UFC, but this is quite a big step up, in my opinion, in Calvin Kattar, and we'll see what happens. Man, I wanted to get lucky in the shot there, but
no, yeah, you're lucky. Come here.
Let's see where Lucky's at. What kind of dog is Lucky?
Yeah, she is. Oh. She's a Peagle.
A Peagle?
Lucky, look over here. Look.
I don't even know what a Peagle is.
A Pekingese and a Beagle.
All right. Well, she's a good dog.
Yeah, she's a nice dog.
There you go. A couple weeks, 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away from this show.
Big stuff for you.
I'm excited.
You with Big Al?
Yeah.
With Big Al Iaquinta.
I think so, yeah. That's going to be that's a plan at least. So
Yeah.
I'll have to give him crap for saying no mercy.
Yeah. Well, I think I got a couple of things for you. We'll talk off the air, but I might have some fun stuff for you.
I'm excited. I like fun things. I just want to feel that autumn weather. Is it cold out there yet?
Not that bad,
Not
but
that
by that time it will be, but
Well,
not that bad. We're still in the 60s, high 60s, which is pretty warm.
That is nice. That is
Yeah,
nice.
beautiful.
But, all right, Ray. Well, I'll let you go. Get some sleep, get some rest, try to get back on that normal U.S. Eastern time zone, and we'll be chatting soon.
Awesome. Definitely give me a buzz this week.
Sounds good, Ray.
All right, take it easy, TJ. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, sir. There he is, Ray Longo, the creative champions here on Extra Rounds, kind enough to join me here to recap all things UFC 280. And, man, I can't wait. He kind of let the cat out of the bag. UFC 281 in New York City. I think we're going to be joined by Ally Quinta on Extra Rounds, and it's going to be a good time. So, by the way, if you are not a UFC Fight Pass member, you can see right down there, 50% off your first month over at UFC Fight Pass. Just use the, I want to say hashtag, but it's promo code, Extra Rounds, and you can get everything that Fight Pass has to offer, including regional events all over the world, as well as some of the best grappling in the world. We were talking about being ruthless. There's some discussion regarding a young man named Pat Chigoli. They call him the Adult Slayer. He was in action this past Sunday on Fight Pass at the Eddie Bravo Invitational. 16 years old is young Pat Chigoli, and he was ripping apart people's legs at the Eddie Bravo Invitational. Some people are saying, hey, maybe he was a little too ruthless. Maybe you don't need to rip the ligaments. So you gotta, wait for your opponent to tap before you go all in on the leg lock. I don't know. I guess that's for others to debate and talk about. But I was thoroughly entertained from EBI. You can go check that out. And again, 50% off your first month of UFC Fight Pass. Just use the hashtag, promo code, Extra Rounds. Also, over at UFC Fight Pass, we got some more live events coming up this weekend. But also, we've got original programming unlike any other in the world, and you definitely want to check it out. Fight Lore is available on Fight Pass. That's probably my favorite original series. Well, actually, I think the Nosebleeds might be my favorite original series. It's a toss-up. There's a lot to watch. Speaking of the Nosebleeds, we'll give you a preview of that right now. And on the other side, I'm going to tell you about Fight Pass Friday. What is that? Find out. This is Extra Rounds on UFC Fight Pass.
Fight, 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 fight! We're coming to you from 3 floors below the Octagon with a show that's going to take a new look at some of the most insane moments in UFC history. This is probably going to ramp up slowly over time, and oh my God! This guy looks like if the local news had a magician on staff. Butterbean answering the age-old question, what if a thumb was a person? Yoga the Gathering? No, they're yoga trading cards. Trade my mint condition Bikram rookie for your hot yoga future stars. Somebody! Most fun human centipede ever. Are these guys twins? No, they just dress like them. Weird, lame, right?
Enjoy, guys. At UF Cuts, get ready to make a complete transformation.
I asked for the Cheeto Vera. And I love it.
Somebody call tech support?
No.
And you can take that to the bank.
It's the Nosebleeds. Submit to the comedy. That is a solid business model. Agreed. No notes.
There you go. Head over to UFC Fight Pass. Check out the Nosebleeds. It's one of our many original programs that I'm sure you're going to love, to say the least. And again, use the code Extra Rounds, 50% off your first month. This weekend over at UFC Fight Pass, we've got Chute Brazil, the return of Chute Brazil. Chute Brazil 111. That is tomorrow, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Also got the Ultimate Warrior Challenge, which goes down in Mexico, starting at 9 Eastern. 6 p.m. Pacific. Then Saturday, we go down under to Australia, Eternal MMA 71. Starts at 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific time. Cage Fight Series 12. That's like almost 12 hours later. 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. I guess not fully 12 hours later, like 9 hours later. Then, of course, UFC Fight Night, Calvin Kattar taking on Arnold Allen. Your prelims start at 1 p.m. Pacific time. That is 4 Eastern. Then tomorrow, over on UFC Fight Pass, we got Fight Pass Fridays with me, TJ DeSantis. You can check out fights from UFC, Pride, WEC, Strikeforce, and more. We'd like to take a look back at MMA history, but we also look ahead to the future, as I got some athlete spotlights of some of the best up-and-coming prospects that you can watch on UFC Fight Pass. Also, if you're into mixed martial arts, which obviously you are, we got plenty of mixed martial arts podcast content available at Podcast Central, the Anakin Florian podcast, which, by the way, features Ray Longo and the Ray Longo Minute. Fitz Nation with Brendan Fitzgerald. If you're into the spicier things in life, you can join Ashley Evans Smith for Sex and Violence. UFC Unfiltered, which is the OG of UFC podcasts. Matt Serra and Jim Norton. Our pal, Dean Thomas, on The Lover and the Fighter. And, of course, this show, which is Extra Rounds. And we appreciate you joining us. Every time we're live here on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube. We're everywhere, man. It's crazy. But, again, go check it out. Again, if you haven't done so already, you're not a member of UFC Fight Pass. Again, Extra Rounds. 50% off your first month on us. So go do it. Go sign up. That's pretty much it. We'll be back, I think, next week as we march closer and closer to UFC 281. Israel Adesanya taking on Alex Pereira. That is going to be a fun one. And just, honestly, something special about the worldwide leader in mixed martial arts heading to the world's most famous arena in all the land, New York City's Madison Square Garden. So that's that. For Ray Longo, I'm TJ DeSantis. We'll see you next time for more Extra Rounds right here from UFC Fight Pass.